It's a big day in the UK as the country gets a new prime minister. Conservative Liz Truss has just arrived at Balmoral Castle in Scotland for a meeting with the Queen. The monarch is set to appoint her as leader, making her the third female prime minister in the country's history. A little earlier, she met with Boris Johnson and accepted his resignation. The hard work will begin right away for Truss. She's facing a cost of living crisis and rocketing energy bills. And on top of all that, a new YouGov poll shows that 50% of Brits are disappointed that she will become prime minister, while just 22% are pleased. For more on this, we're joined by Dr. Leslie Vinjamuri. She's the director of the U.S. and Americas program and the dean of the Queen Elizabeth II Academy at Chatham House. Leslie, good to have you with us this morning. Thanks for joining us. So Truss is clearly stepping right into this role with a lot on her plate. I mean, her victory in the Conservative Party's leadership contest was slimmer than expected. I just mentioned this poll that suggests she's not a popular choice generally among Brits. And then there's those crises I talked about, big energy crisis, cost of living. Just walk us through how much pressure she's under from the start and how secure will she be in her job?
Well, I think this is a tremendously difficult time for the UK. We've seen low growth. We see a real concern driving forward into the winter of energy prices. Note that just an hour or more before her victory was announced, we heard the news from Russia that there will be no more energy gas coming into Europe until the collective West lifts its sanctions. So that the pressure is very clear. And this is a prime minister candidate and now prime minister who campaigned on an outdated version of economics, trickle-down economics. She's saying she's going to cut taxes. It's not clear how the money will be regained and what that will do to questions of distributive policies that are going to be essential for many Britons through the winter, a very difficult winter ahead. And I think grave concerns about the economy. So she is under pressure. Those numbers were not what perhaps some people expected. But I think the real context here is how few people voted in this election, and her votes were, just over 80,000, a tiny number when you think about the overall size of the UK population.
Yeah, absolutely. I also want to talk about the particular relationship between the U.S. and the UK. I mean, how do you think this will be received? Will the Biden administration be happy to have her as a partner, particularly on foreign policy issues, of course, right now, like the Ukraine war?
Well, this is one area where Britain has, taken on a very significant role. It's certainly spending. It's taken a very strong line on sanctions. It's very much aligned with the U.S. position on support for Ukraine. At times, Liz Truss has taken a stronger line, perhaps less pragmatic line than we've even seen from President Biden. So there's a question mark there. There's a question mark there about to what extent Liz Truss as prime minister will want to be seen as independent as opposed to carefully aligned with the U.S. She's really wanted to set herself out as not dependent on the U.S., not dependent on Europe. And, despite this very strong stance on Ukraine, I think the broader question that's really absolutely critical for the Biden administration is what will Britain under her leadership do to really clarify and set out its relationship with Europe. The prospects are not good. She's moving forward into, what has been a very rocky relationship. We heard her comments about the French leader. And the question, of course, that is absolutely essential to President Biden is what will happen to the Northern Ireland Protocol. Will her policies unsettle the Good Friday Agreement, peace in Ireland, and ultimately get in the way of the UK really forging a strong relationship with Europe? If she can't do that, it's going to be very tricky for her to forge a solid relationship, certainly with this administration.
Absolutely. Lots to keep watching for there. Dr. Vinjamuri, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.